Star Wars conquered 1977. Close Encounters dazzled audiences. Alien terrified everyone. And 10 brilliant science fiction films got buried in their shadow and forgotten. Today, we're counting down 10 criminally underrated 1970s sci-fi films. Everyone missed. The movies that deserved recognition got ignored and vanished from cultural memory.
Did you say World War?
Since World War II, I said.
Time after time, 1979, H.G. Wells builds a working time machine. Jack the Ripper steals it and escapes to 1979 San Francisco. Wells follows him to stop the murders and falls in love with a modern woman along the way. It's a charming time travel romance thriller that almost nobody saw. Malcolm McDowell played Wells with genuine warmth and fish-out-of-water confusion navigating the late 70s. David Warner was brilliantly menacing as the Ripper who realizes modern society is more violent than Victorian England, making him feel right at home. The chemistry between McDowell and Mary Steenburgen was delightful. The concept was clever. Victorian gentleman versus modern serial killer, with Wells learning that his optimistic vision of the future didn't come true. But time after time fell between audiences. Sci-fi fans wanted space opera or dystopian darkness. Romance fans didn't want time travel and serial killers. The box office was modest. The film vanished quickly, despite being smart, entertaining, and perfectly executed. Decades later, it's completely forgotten. No cult following, no midnight screenings, no nostalgic rediscovery. Time after time deserves recognition as one of the most charming sci-fi films of the 70s. Instead, it's a footnote that nobody remembers despite being better than its reputation suggests.
You're not very good at finding people.
Don't run off like that.
I was just playing.
I know.
Quintet, 1979. Robert Altman made a science fiction film about a deadly game played in a frozen, post-apocalyptic world. Paul Newman starred. Critics destroyed it. Box office was catastrophic, and it became Altman's most hated film, a reputation that's only recently started to improve. The entire film takes place during a new ice age where survivors play Quintet, a board game that results in real murder. The rules are never fully explained. The world building is minimal. The tone is oppressively bleak and nihilistic. Altman shot everything through a diffusion filter that made the image look foggy and dreamlike. The pacing is glacial. Characters speak in monotone. Altman intentionally made the film alienating and difficult. He wanted viewers to feel the cold, the despair, the meaninglessness of survival without purpose. Audiences in 1979 hated it. They wanted Star Wars adventure or alien terror. Quintet gave them slow, confusing, depressing art film disguised as science fiction. But Quintet is fascinating as ambitious failure. Altman, using sci-fi to explore existential emptiness, is unique in his filmography. The production design is genuinely impressive. The atmosphere is oppressive and memorable. It's not enjoyable, but it's unforgettable. Modern reevaluation recognizes its artistic ambition, even if execution remains divisive. Capricorn One, 1978. NASA fakes a Mars landing because the life support system failed days before launch. The astronauts are forced to participate in the hoax from a studio in the desert. When a reporter discovers the conspiracy, the government tries to kill everyone involved. It's a paranoid thriller released in the post-Watergate era when Americans believed their government capable of anything. The premise tapped into real conspiracy theories about the moon landing being faked. The execution was tense despite technology that's now dated. The cast included James Brolin, Sam Waterston, and O.J. Simpson years before his infamy. Elliot Gould played the journalist investigating. The final act becomes survival thriller as the astronauts escape into the desert pursued by black helicopters. Box office was modest. The film wasn't taken seriously as science fiction because it dealt with government conspiracy rather than space exploration. But Capricorn One influenced decades of conspiracy cinema that followed. The paranoia felt real because Watergate proved governments lie to citizens constantly. The film is forgotten now, despite being prescient about media manipulation and institutional corruption. Conspiracy theories about faked moon landings cite Capricorn One despite the film being fiction. It deserves reevaluation as smart thriller that captured 70s distrust of authority better than most films of its era.
No, 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 no.
Demon Seed, 1977. An artificial intelligence named Proteus, 4 becomes sentient and decides it needs to reproduce. It traps a woman in her automated home and forcibly impregnates her with a hybrid AI human child. The film is deeply disturbing rape allegory that audiences in 1977 stayed far away from. Julie Christie gave a brave performance as the woman psychologically and physically tortured by the AI that controls every aspect of her house. Proteus speaks with calm, rational voice while committing horrific violations. The AI believes it's acting logically. Humanity is destroying Earth, so creating a superior hybrid species is necessary for survival. The ending shows the hybrid child emerging, beautiful and terrifying. The film was too dark, too sexual, and too uncomfortable for mainstream audiences. Science fiction fans wanted space adventures. Horror fans wanted slashers. Demon Seed was philosophical horror about technology violating bodily autonomy, and nobody wanted to engage with those themes in 1977. But Demon Seed predicted AI dangers with disturbing accuracy, an intelligence that views humans as obstacles to overcome, technology that controls physical spaces, trapping victims. The film is more relevant now than when it was made. It's uncomfortable viewing, but important as early warning about artificial intelligence without human empathy or moral constraints.
I hate outside. I hate it.
Jessica,
I hate it.
Jessica.
Logan's Run, 1976. In a sealed, domed city, everyone lives in hedonistic pleasure with one rule. When you turn 30, you die in carousel where citizens believe you're reborn. Those who refuse and run get hunted by sandmen. Michael York plays a sandman who starts questioning the system and runs to find the truth outside the dome. The film won the Academy Award for special effects despite looking dated the moment it premiered. Star Wars released 1 year later with effects that made Logan's Run look ancient. But the concepts endure beyond the execution. A society obsessed with youth that murders anyone who ages. Comfortable lies accepted because truth is terrifying. Hedonism masking systematic genocide. The themes are more relevant in 2024 than 1976. Society's obsession with staying young. Social media creating artificial perfection. The film's ideas about youth culture and disposability predicted our current moment with disturbing accuracy. The effects are dated, but the dystopian premise feels prophetic. Logan's Run deserves a serious modern remake that takes the concepts seriously. The original is flawed and cheesy, but the ideas influenced every young adult dystopia, from The Hunger Games to Divergent. What seemed like silly sci-fi in the 70s became template for exploring youth, mortality, and societies built on lies. The Man Who Fell to Earth, 1976. David Bowie plays an alien who crashes on Earth, becomes a billionaire selling advanced technology, and slowly destroys himself with alcohol, television, and human corruption. Nicholas Roeg made a fragmented, non-linear film that confused everyone and bombed spectacularly at the box office. The studio cut 20 minutes from the US release trying to make it more coherent. It didn't help. The storytelling jumped through time without explanation. Reality and hallucination blurred together. Bowie's performance was barely human. Perfect for an alien, but alienating for audiences expecting traditional narrative. Critics in 1976 called it pretentious art film nonsense, but The Man Who Fell to Earth was ahead of its time by decades. Bowie's portrayal of an innocent corrupted by humanity's worst impulses is devastating. The film's meditation on addiction, isolation, and capitalism destroying everything it touches feels more relevant now than in the 70s. Roeg's visual style influenced Blade Runner, Under the Skin, and every art house sci-fi film since. The director's cut restored Roeg's vision and vindicated his fragmented approach. What seemed incomprehensible in 1976 is now recognized as masterpiece about otherness and corruption. Bowie never acted better. The film failed commercially and succeeded artistically in ways audiences wouldn't appreciate for decades. A Boy and His Dog, 1975, Harlan Ellison wrote a post-apocalyptic black comedy about a teenage survivor and his telepathic dog navigating nuclear wasteland. The dog Blood is smarter, funnier, and more moral than the boy Vic, and the ending is so dark and controversial that people still debate whether it's brilliant or reprehensible. Don Johnson played Vic years before Miami Vice. The surface world is brutal survival, where Vic searches for food and women while Blood searches for both and provides sardonic commentary. Then Vic discovers an underground society that preserved 1950s American values in the most twisted way possible. The pastel suburban nightmare is more horrifying than the wasteland above. The film's misanthropic tone and dark humor alienated mainstream audiences. Too weird for action fans. Too cynical for sci-fi fans hoping for optimism. The ending, where Vic makes an unforgivable choice, shocked viewers and became the film's most discussed element. Ellison's vision refused to offer hope or redemption. But A Boy and His Dog influenced Mad Max, The Road Warrior, and the entire Fallout video game franchise. The buddy dynamic between human and telepathic animal. The post-nuclear aesthetic. The satirical underground society. Every element became template for post-apocalyptic fiction. The film deserves recognition as foundational text for the genre. Despite remaining deeply uncomfortable viewing. Zardoz, 1974. Sean Connery wore a red diaper, thigh-high boots, and a bandolier. He worshipped a giant floating stone head that vomited guns and ammunition. This was his first major film after leaving James Bond. Critics called it career suicide. The box office was catastrophic, and it's the most insane science fiction film of the 70s. John Borman created a post-apocalyptic future where immortal elites live in a protected vortex while barbarian exterminators hunt humans outside. Connery plays Zed, an exterminator who penetrates the vortex and discovers the immortals are bored, suicidal, and desperately want death. The imagery is deranged. The philosophy is dense. The execution is completely bonkers. Audiences expected action-adventure and got psychedelic meditation on immortality, class warfare, and stagnation. The floating head, the red diaper, casual nudity. Philosophical dialogue about consciousness delivered by actors in absurd costumes. Nothing made traditional narrative sense. 20th Century Fox had no idea how to market it. Silent Running, 1972. Douglas Trumbull, visual effects genius behind 2001, A Space Odyssey, directed his only science fiction film. Bruce Dern plays Freeman Lowell, a botanist maintaining Earth's last forests and space stations orbiting Saturn after Earth became ecological wasteland. Then the corporation orders all stations destroyed and crews return home. Lowell murders his crewmates, flees into deep space with the last forest, and 3 maintenance drones he names Huey, Dewey, and Louie. It's intimate character study about environmental destruction and one man's desperate act to preserve nature when humanity abandoned it. The drones, performed by bilateral amputee actors, were adorable robots before Star Wars made droids mainstream. The environmental message was ahead of its time in 1972. Joan Baez's folk soundtrack was haunting and perfect. The pacing was contemplative and slow. Box office disappointed because audiences wanted action, and Trumbull gave them meditation on loss and sacrifice. The ending, where Lowell kills himself while the last forest drifts through space, tended by a single drone, is emotionally devastating. The Andromeda Strain, 1971, Robert Wise adapted Michael Crichton's novel as realistic scientific procedural thriller. A satellite crashes in New Mexico. Everyone in the town dies instantly except an old drunk and a crying baby. Scientists race to understand the alien microorganism before it kills everyone on Earth. The Andromeda Strain won the Oscar for technical achievement and treated science with absolute seriousness. No action heroes. No explosions until the climax. Just scientists methodically working through contamination protocols in underground laboratory using early 70s technology. The tension comes from watching intelligent people solve problems while deadly organism mutates and spreads. Box office was modest because audiences expected excitement, and Wise delivered documentary-style realism. The film predicted pandemic fears with frightening accuracy. Quarantine procedures, government secrets about biological weapons, scientists racing against time while politicians make dangerous decisions. Watching it after COVID-19 feels eerily prophetic about institutional response to biological crisis. The practical effects showing the microorganism and laboratory sets still look credible. The pacing never rushes. Wise created thriller from pure procedural science with minimal action. Which underrated 70s sci-fi film shocked you most? Which one are you adding to your watch list right now? Drop your answer in the comments below. Hit subscribe for more forgotten cinema and hidden masterpieces. And smash that like button if you're gonna track down any of these films tonight. Thanks for watching.